Hello and welcome to the Radiate Fitness Podcast with me, your host, Amanda Reedy, mum of two, personal trainer, nutrition and weight management advisor, PE teacher and lifelong happiness advocate. This is a podcast for you, the busy mum, where we'll talk about ways to prioritise your own fitness, health and happiness, because if you feel great, you thrive, and so does your family. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Radiate Fitness Podcast. I'm so pleased that you've tuned in and listening along. Welcome to any new listeners and welcome back to those of you that have been here before. I'm really pleased to have you along. In this episode, I will be talking about one of the most common things I hear from mums who want to improve their health and fitness. Just where to begin. I get it. It is so overwhelming. The amount of information available about what we should all be doing to stay fit and healthy is so vast. Just looking at social media for like 3 minutes, you would see so many different things flashing up if that's part of what you're interested in, and navigating what is useful, what will work, what won't work, and what will particularly work for you as an individual is really, really tricky. If I just had a quick look at social media, for me as a 41-year-old woman, it suggests that I should be doing the following things, and this is not an exhaustive list. I should be doing strength training with heavy weights 3 times a week. I should be doing HIIT sessions. I should be walking at least 3 times a week. I should be doing higher intensity cardio in zones 2 3 times a week. Functional training, yoga sessions, Pilates sessions, the latest class craze, whatever that may be. I know that they do like trampolining and like jumpercise now, jazzercise as well. Like, what are these things? The latest foam rolling techniques to really get into like those aches and pains, balance, mobility, flexibility sessions, pickleball. What is pickleball? Core workouts, bar classes, literally the list goes on. And I've kind of know what most of these things are, but I can imagine those of you who are kind of like new to trying to take on some kind of fitness or regular exercise is absolute minefield territory. So that's one thing. The other thing is about nutrition, and I should apparently also be doing all of these things: eating more protein, balancing my hormones, enhancing and protecting and improving my gut health, eating and buying sustainably, and making sure that all the things that I am making at home fit into these categories. I should be reducing my red meat consumption. I should be eating mindfully at every meal. I should be eating one meal at dinner time prepared for all of my family, which everybody sits down and eats together. I should be cutting down or cutting out caffeine. I shouldn't be drinking alcohol. I shouldn't be taking supplements. I should be taking supplements. Oh my goodness me. The list goes on and on and on. And whilst I, as a personal trainer, agree with a lot of this information, and a lot of the information given is valuable and is helpful, and I think we should be doing many of these things, we definitely should not be doing all of these things. And especially, we should not be doing all of these things if you are starting out on a, for want of a better term, fitness journey, or returning to exercise after having your children. So the amount of information and advice out there is vast. Some of it is really, really good. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of good people out there giving out information which is useful, which is helpful, and which we should be following, really, because there is kind of like minimum guidelines of what we need to do to be fit and healthy as individuals, and to enable us to live a healthy life. So there is a lot of stuff out there which is really great, but really I think what I'm saying more so here is I'm not trying to say that people are saying a lot of stuff which is useless or unhelpful, but it's just the vast quantity of information out there which is available to us now thanks to the internet, which obviously is great, but it becomes so overwhelming, and it makes knowing what to actually do first or where to start pretty much impossible for some people. So The sad events that happen then is instead of people thinking, oh, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to go through what this is, I'm going to go through what that is, I'm going to understand how it works and what I need to do, I think it's so much easier to just be like, oh, I'm not doing it, I'm not going to do anything, I'm going to completely give up before I even try. If this is sounding familiar, I really feel for you. It is so very difficult to navigate. And I know that there are so many women out there that want to get fitter, want to get healthier because they know the positive implications it can have on their life. And therefore, if they are doing well and thriving, so are their family, and you want this knock-on effect to kind of make you feel great on a daily basis. But it can be so, so difficult. And I really want to help you in this episode navigate this and give you a couple of simple ideas on where to start. So this is kind of like if I was starting out again and looking at all the fitness information out there, what would I do? Where would I begin? So that it actually feels like I'm doing something worthwhile. And then this is kind of like, after that, once you've started and you're getting into a routine, there is more to then go forward with and decide what the best path to take is to really then kind of ramp up and supercharge your fitness and your health. But now we are just going to start by looking at where to start. And really, the biggest thing I want to say is start with something. It's better to start with something small and get yourself going rather than just not do anything at all. This is kind of like a favour that I am asking you to do now for your future self, because you're going to look back and be like, oh, I'm so pleased that I actually took a step to start doing some form of exercise or physical activity, or to start doing a very small change within my diet so that I can like feel the benefits and feel that I am making progress. So, one thing I will say is kind of like this idea of feeling overwhelmed is obviously a huge thing for parents. There's so much going on. So you don't want your fitness journey or starting with getting fit to feel the same. This kind of feeling really reminds me of things that I saw over and over again when I was teaching teenagers in school. So many teenagers were completely afraid of failing in their lessons. Failing tests, failing in sport, not being able to do the skills or not being able to do skills well enough for them to look cool. They were scared of failing in front of their friends. They were also scared of failing themselves. So due to this, quite often, they just didn't try. And in some cases, I could often get them to do something and give things a go after quite a lot of negotiation. But for others, this kind of like feeling of like, oh, if I don't try, then I won't fail. And that, I think, is quite often an easy way out. But the thing is, if you do try to do something new, or you do try to like start something which is going to be beneficial or learn something new, it can be so powerful. It can really give you a sense of achievement, and then there are knock-on effects which are really positive, which then you can start implementing into other areas of your life. I think the part of the problem, especially for mums returning to exercise after having children, is that lack of time is often cited as a reason not to exercise. But often there is so much more to it. It can often be a lack of confidence. It could be having bad past experiences with exercise. Quite often, especially for girls, and it really breaks my heart, that this is due to their experience at school and their experience of PE. And being a PE teacher, this really grates on me. PE and sport are so powerful and can do so much for everyone. And exercise and physical activity, that I really am passionate about children and girls especially having a positive experience in their PE lessons, because then it has positive implications on the rest of their life. Other reasons that I think mums don't really return to exercise as readily as they might is that they're fearful of what others might say or what others might think of them. They're a bit scared of being judged if they don't look like good doing what the different exercises are. Other things are like concerns about pelvic floors and like strength of them and like what might happen. There are so many reasons that women kind of can often shy off exercising and taking part in physical activity after having children. Or as I said, it's just that they just don't know where to start, and so they don't start at all. And this is kind of really, really tricky. But I'm really like want you to kind of swallow down any of those feelings and really just believe that by starting and doing something, it is going to be massively positive. And then you can move forward from there. With clients, I often talk about how these feelings that you can have, especially returning to exercise, are kind of like very difficult and very difficult indeed. But I often say that if our children, like the kids that we have had the same feelings in everything that they did when they were learning, they would find life really, really difficult. And I'm not talking here about like teenagers again who don't do stuff because they've learnt not trying behaviour as a coping strategy to make them not look or feel a bit foolish. I'm talking here about our small children. And a great example is when they first start to learn to walk. When children learn to walk, they fall over a lot. Literally all the time. Think back to when your kids first started to learn to walk or crawl or try and stand up. They were always on the floor. To start with, they have literally no idea what they're doing. But they have this instinctive nature inside of them, knowing that walking is something that they need to do, something they want to do. I mean, this applies to all kinds of things when you're learning as a baby. Talking, grabbing hold of things, smiling, showing different behaviours to get desired outcomes, especially trying to show their parents kind of what they want. They learn, they watch, they try. If things don't work out, they try again. If they fall down, they eventually, after maybe a few tears, they get up and they try again. They figure it out. It may take time, but they figure it out. I think it carries on for a little bit longer within childhood too. My children are currently 5 and 7, and I love this age. They want to know everything. Like my son, if you're in the room with him for less than half an hour, he's probably already asked you at least 100 questions. He has got an absolute thirst for knowledge. They want to find out how to do things and how to do them well. They want to feel like they're achieving stuff, whether it's maths problems, whether it's different ways to jump, spin turns, getting their legs in the air, drawing a picture of something. They are inquisitive and they love to learn. They try again and again. And now at school, I know they tell me that they get taught about key values, and resilience is one of them. And they get taught time and again that they can work things out, that they can try and do hard things. And I try to tell my children often that exact phrase. I say, you can do hard things. I can do hard things. We can do hard things. We can work it out. I try and use language that makes them feel that anything and everything is possible. Recently, especially in the past kind of like year or so, I have really tried to kind of like channel in to positivity and like good mindset shifts, where I now tell myself more frequently, like on a daily basis, that anything is possible. I love this idea, this brilliant saying that I heard, that life is too short to be mediocre. I don't want to be mediocre, and I do not want a mediocre life. So I now try really hard. If something doesn't go right, before I get really stressed, I get really upset, I'd normally probably, unfortunately, take it out on my husband, poor husband. But now I'm really trying to kind of rein all this in, stay calm, stay kind of in a really good headspace of actually I can figure this out. And it really is amazing what you can achieve if you just try. All of this, when you think about it, is so simple. So I want to try and make it as simple for you. If you are in that position where you are I really want to feel a bit healthier, I think it would make me feel better about myself, make me a little bit happier, I'm going to give you my top 3 tips, my top 3 starting points in what to do to feel healthier and happier. I know sometimes these things feel really, really difficult, And sometimes the best things that you can do are challenge yourself, do hard things to try and like get you to a place where you want to be to help you achieve your goals. But I really don't believe that things should be so hard they are unattainable. You need to sometimes get a few little wins under your belt before you go in for the top challenge. So here are the 3 things that I think are great starting points for those of you who just want to get a little bit more active. So starting really simply, number 1, 3 times a week, go out for a walk, okay? This is not hard. Most of you, I imagine, probably do this already. Excuse me. But really, really make this an intentional walk. So it's not just like a stroll to the shops. Go out 10 to 15 minutes minimum, I would say. If you can increase that to 30 minutes, that's amazing. And I think that 30 minutes actually is kind of like where you're going to start getting the most benefit from. And you should be walking at a pace where you find holding a conversation a little bit of a challenge. You can talk quite happily, but sometimes you might need to catch your breath a little bit. If you can get a little bit of a pace up, that elevates your heart rate and does have wondrous effects for your heart and your lungs and your cardiovascular system. 3 walks a week, and I'm talking about in a week, is not a lot. If you remember, we talked about how if 10 minutes of your day is roughly 1% of your waking hours, surely you can spare at least 1% of your day 3 times a week for a quick walk. And as I said, if you can do it for up to 30 minutes, even better. What you really want to tune into as well here is how these walks make you feel. Afterwards, I bet you feel re-energized, happier, that you can concentrate better. There is something so powerful about getting outside and connecting with nature. Look around, see what you can see. It can be really restorative, and obviously the movement is so good for getting the blood pumping and allows you to kind of come back after having a bit of a reset. So my first one, go out for a walk 3 times a week. If you can, half an hour, that outside, brilliant. Number 2, stop or swap the snacks. So as a mum, and I completely feel this, often I am really tired and I need a quick pick-me-up, something just to like eat, to give me a little bit of energy, or feel that I am like in need of a coffee or a bit of caffeine, something like that. But often, because of time pressures, maybe you're just like running in before you have to run out and pick up the kids from something like that. You just want something quick. So instead of like taking the time to get something healthy, or maybe you haven't bought anything healthy, biscuits, crisps, bit of chocolate, really appealing, really convenient. You know it's going to give you a quick like sugar burst and off you go again. However, it's very, very easy to keep eating them and to have more than you should have. And to cut them out completely would be like ideal. However, it's really, really hard because they taste so nice. And I really don't believe in like banning any food. Have a biscuit, have chocolate, have it, but have it occasionally and really enjoy it when you have it. But what I suggest to do instead of just reaching for the easy things is to actually look at why you snack and how you snack and what you snack on. So look at how often you snack. If you're having like 2 or 3 snacks between meals, then maybe your meals are not really nourishing you as best as they can. If you are just snacking on biscuits because they're readily available, try and get something different which is a healthier option. So just like buy some fruit, like apples, bananas, they are like the most easy, readily available fruits that you can eat. There's no preparation. Choose something that you enjoy and just have it there ready to go. If you realise that something happens which makes you reach for a sugary snack or something which is like readily available, like there's some kind of like emotional trigger, then again, can you try and replace that emotional trigger which causes you to snack with something else, like a quick walk, or like just 5 minutes sitting down and breathing mindfully, or maybe write down like how you're feeling, why you're feeling, get it like off your chest. Writing things down can be so helpful because immediately it's left your brain. You don't have to think about it any longer. So instead of like comfort eating to kind of rectify that situation, writing it down. You can then be quite therapeutic with it, rip it up, throw it away, something like that can also help you. If again you see that your daily snackage time is at a certain time, like if you think every time you have a cup of tea you have a biscuit, see if you can disassociate those two things. So associate a cup of tea with, instead of a biscuit, do something like, 10 squats. Or again, have an oat cake, like an oat biscuit or something like that, which has actually got better nutrients in it, which isn't going to give you sugar spikes and affect the way that your body is working and cause stress responses. So cutting down on snacks can make a huge difference to how your body reacts and how your energy ebbs and flows throughout the day. But also changing what you snack on can make a big difference. So that would be my second tip. Snacking, either try and reduce it, or if you really feel the need to have something which is a little bit healthier and actually gives you some nourishment. My third place to start, if you want to improve your health and fitness, especially as a mum, is paying attention to your core and your core muscles. I'm going to go into more detail about this in another episode. However, for me, your core strength is a critical part of the puzzle when starting or recommencing a healthy lifestyle and looking at your fitness. After we've had a baby, and regardless of how your baby is born, our core muscles have undergone some kind of dramatic change. They've been put under so much pressure. Obviously, carrying a baby is tough, and it changes your body, understandably. It is affected by the hormones that act upon our body. We have postural changes, and the recovery after the baby has been born is also kind of critical, and it can affect how our core is. We are postpartum forever. So even though we've had a baby and they look at you as a postnatal woman for however long it is, and then you kind of feel like you're cut off from the world, really, we are postpartum forever. We have had our babies and our body has changed, and it will never go back to how it was. Never ever. One of the things which is really common, and I've really experienced this too, is problems with leaking from your pelvic floors when sneezing, coughing, laughing, jumping, running. It can be really embarrassing, and it can make you feel awful, and it can really affect what you do. For quite a long time, until I addressed the situation, I had issues with my pelvic floors, and it really made me kind of play differently with my children. I didn't run, I wouldn't jump, I wouldn't try any of those things for fear of embarrassment or fear of something happening, which was uncomfortable. Whilst we were encouraged to do pelvic floor exercises throughout our pregnancy and after having the baby to re-strengthen the pelvic floors, it needs to be a continuous process. And if you stop, after having the baby or 6 weeks after you've had your baby, and you get your sign off from the doctor that you're fine, it doesn't work. As with any muscle, you need to train them consistently, and if you don't train, you lose your gains. So I'm really sorry, but there is no quick fix here. This is why with my clients, and also with my own training, I purposefully include quite a lot of core work to try and make sure that our pelvic floor muscles are really strong, but also all of our core muscles. So our core muscles are, I'm just going to talk about them in more simplistic terms because they're actually quite complicated, but they include our back, our glutes, our abdominals as well. Think of these muscles as our support network. They protect our internal organs, but they can also help our stability and balance and allow for better movement in general. I believe core strength is a key component to being healthy and happy. If you can move consistently and constantly with the support of these muscles without fear, if you want to run or jump or you sneeze or any of those things, it really, really enhances your enjoyment of life, and you feel like you can get stuck in. Who's been to a trampoline park with their children and just completely avoided even stepping on the trampoline for fear of what might happen? How nice would it be to just be able to be right, I'm getting involved, I'm going over there, I'm jumping all over the place without fear or worry? I mean, that is kind of really quite liberating if you can get to that point. Speaking as somebody who, as I said, has had some issues. But with this in mind, I would just start becoming really mindful of working my pelvic floor muscles daily. It is not fun. It is not exciting. It's not jazzy or kind of like the big crowd pleaser, if you wish. But you can work on them on a daily basis and kind of like habit stack them with other things. So you could practice working them whilst waiting for the kettle to boil, or even putting petrol in the car, or even when you're sitting and working, you can try and ensure that you are contracting and relaxing these muscles, because you need to have the contraction and the relaxation ability for them to work well. So if you don't know where to start here is a very simple kind of practice that you can do. I'll just try and talk you through it. Start by standing or lying down. If you're lying down, lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. I think these are the best two positions to start practicing strengthening your pelvic floor muscles in particular, because I think they're where you can actually feel the movement, feel them working the most. So first I'd like you to take a deep breath in. And when you breathe in, your tummy should expand and feel like it's filling up, okay? And what I want you to try and imagine and particularly think about is filling up your sides and your lower back with air. Imagine it's like a balloon inflating. When you then exhale, so start to exhale, what I want you to think about is squeezing the air out from your tummy, okay? And you're going to try and do this from your bottom upwards towards your rib cage. And as you do it, you should feel your tummy flattening as the air is being breathed out, and try and breathe out through your mouth or your nose, but your mouth is quite good because it feels more impactful. I think a good way to visualize this is if you had a string attached to your pelvic floor muscle that runs straight up and out of the top of your head, and the string is being gently pulled up. Imagine that your pelvic floor muscles are being drawn upwards too. So like the pull of the pelvic floor muscles is kind of pushing all that air out, and it's kind of flattening your stomach as you go. And then just breathe in again and kind of let the air back into your tummy, fill up that balloon, and then breathe out and really like engage those pelvic floors, move them upwards, feel that string pulling them upwards and cinching your tummy. Another way to visualize your pelvic floors working is like if they're a lift and they're moving up different floors as you exhale the air out of your abdomen and your lungs. These visualizations can really help, as working your pelvic floor muscles effectively is not just about squeezing your tummy in. And also, I think for me, one of the things that I really noticed once I've had my children was quite often when I breathed out, like a really big deep breath out, I would often push my tummy out, and that is not effective. That is not what your tummy should be doing. So when you're breathing in, your stomach should be inflating and moving outwards, and when you're breathing out, your tummy should be moving inwards, okay? It should be flattening. So it's just something to kind of bear in mind. As well as working your pelvic floor muscles here, you're trying to work your deep abdominals as well. So just think of your tummy in a simplistic way as almost like two layers. So your abdominal muscles are kind of two layers. You've got your deep transverse abdominals underneath, which are the muscles closest to your organ. And on top of that is the rectus abdominis. These are the abs, like your six pack that you will think of. Then at the bottom of those, you've got your pelvic floors, which act as a kind of hammock or a sling at the bottom. There are other muscles involved, but we won't go into that now. Just want you to think about this in a simplistic way. And then all these muscles work together. But what you want is for them to work together really efficiently. So if you can firstly focus on strengthening those deep ab muscles and your pelvic floors, you can then build around them. It's like laying the foundations for a house. So that is what I would focus on, and try doing those breaths about 10 times each. So if you want a bit more timing, maybe you try and breathe in for 4, and then on your exhale, when you're really squeezing those pelvic floors and squeezing your tummy in and getting rid of the air outwards, breathe out for about 6 seconds. So if you try and do about 10 of those in and out breaths, and aim for like 2 or 3 sets throughout the day, that would be really, really good. If you can get into the habit of it, it will start making a difference. But that is what I would definitely start with in order to start building that core strength and supporting those pelvic floor muscles. And if you want to, you can try doing that breathing in different positions, such as standing, lying, sitting, and then with movements such as like standing up and doing knee raises, and also glute bridges, where you breathe out whilst you're lifting your bottom up from lying on the floor. So those are just 3 simple ideas of different ways to get started in trying to improve your health and happiness. I don't want to make things overwhelming, so if what I suggest sounds like a lot, pick one, whether it's going for a walk regularly, whether it's trying to modify your snacking behaviours, or whether it's trying to just think about working those core muscles a little bit more. Try it for a week and then try and implement the next one. Or if you're feeling brave, you could go all in with all 3. It is completely up to you. However, if you want a slightly more structured approach and a few more ideas, then I've got something for you. It's called my 7-day Kickstarter challenge. Small changes, big wins. So this is a 7-day challenge to get you started with a healthy routine, gives you a structured 7-day approach with different types of movement, nutrition and happiness ideas to get you and the family moving and just starting to think about what you can do to feel that little bit healthier and that little bit happier. If you want to sign up, the link is in the show notes, and I really hope you do. Let me know what you choose out of the 3 ideas that we talked about today, and let me know how you get on, and most importantly, how you feel. I really hope it helps you feel that little bit happier and that little bit healthier. Hope you have a brilliant week. Bye-bye.